Good evening and welcome to the Velocity of Now with me, your host Thomas Sheridan on the Reality Bites Radio Network. That's Reality Bites with a BYTES.com. And welcome to the Velocity of Now. Here it is, it's Wednesday. Well, it's actually Thursday now. It's still Wednesday. Wednesday, the 6th of May. Jesus, the year is flying by. 2015. And my name is Thomas Sheridan, as I said, and my website is www.thomassheridanarts.com. And, there's loads on there. Lots of new stuff this week because, by Jesus, has it been an eventful week. And we're going to be talking about that tonight. And if you didn't get an education this week in how the system functions, and how the true shilling is done, and how the true controlled opposition is played, then there's absolutely no hope for you as a human being. None whatsoever. None at all. Because there's no way you could actually claim to be awake, switched on, clued in, and still be the same person today that you were before Walpurgis, where a huge change happened in the consciousness of this so-called awakening movement, and particularly in the UK, when the remarkably mundane and spectacular, non-audible flatulent, but massively consciousness flatulent Russell Brand, after nearly 2 years of telling his followers, do not vote. There's no distinguishing the difference between the two mainstream parties. They're all the fucking time. Well, he didn't say that. I said that. And what happened? He turned around first on Walpurgis. It couldn't have been more poetic. Told you to vote for the Greens in Brighton. And then he performed what the intelligence services called a spectacular. And by God, it was a spectacular. That basically validated me as, without a doubt, the premier intelligent voice of this entire alternative community, because I made the greatest prediction ever. My head is so big, you're going to call me a narcissistic twat. I don't care. Allow me to bask in the moment of my glory, when immediately after his Newsnight performance in 2013, I came out and said he was talking bollocks, and it's all about getting people back into the Labour Party. And it happened and unfolded just like I predicted. I wasn't a lunatic hovering around a Ouija board squealing, "My queen, my queen," while some nicotine encrusted oaf moved the planchette, or whatever that fucking thing is called, around the board to make predictions. I didn't have a vision in a hotel of voices telling me I was a special person and in the future No, none of that happened. What happened was I looked at reality and I deciphered reality. Something that is still an enormous, gigantic, massive, incredible and insurmountable issue for so many people who still call themselves awake. You study nothing because unfortunately the so-called awakening movement, 80% of it began with reading UFO books. The other 10% began in churches, and 10% of them were actually normal people who clicked on. The rest of you were all lizard locked by the Lizard King himself, and Alex told you for war, Illuminati symbol, and you haven't learned dick. You haven't learned dick. You don't know how to observe. So, what's the main thing that causes an insurgency to happen? Intelligence gathering. You observe the enemy, like I have, like some other people have, like people like Tom Secker has done that. People like that. You observe the enemy. James Corbett's another one. And there's quite a few others. And then you develop intelligence gathering. I don't mean like intelligence IQ. I mean information gathering. And you realize that they repeat the same patterns over and over again. And that's why the people who immediately saw that Russell Brand was full of crap were divided into two camps. Women who find him repulsive, which don't really count because that's basically it's purely a superficial judgment, and then men and women who know exactly how the system works. And we're going to be talking about how it really works tonight and what the real shills are. And all you muppets online go, he's a shill because he doesn't believe the earth is flat. Oh, the earth is flat, so he's a shill psychopath, doesn't believe the earth is flat. We're going to talk about how it's really done and why there's no hope for an awakening, because it's not going to happen. Like I said, anyone who stands on a stage today and goes, there's going to be a great awakening of unconditional love, they really need to be taken out into it, and sold, sold as fertilizer at this point, because that's basically what they are. So, we're probably going to have an extra long show tonight because there's so much to talk about and so many things to explore. And Fecca, I feel like talking a little longer tonight, and I'm sure most of you won't mind. Now, so let's talk about a few things this week. What happened this week? Well, I had a cold. That's one thing. I got drunk on Sunday. That's another. And well, that's basically it. And in between that, I did a bit of research, a bit of working. But I have to say that I was amazed with the Russell Brand turnaround. It happened the way it did. I really did initially. Now, I knew the end game was always to get Labour voters back. I always knew that was the end game from the start, because he was basically spinning a Labour manifesto on that Newsnight episode with what's his name? I can't remember the dickhead's name right now. And another Fabian public school twat on the BBC, and it was pure Labour. It was pure Labour. Now, it was confirmed to me. I thought it was going to be a new left-wing party was going to be created, and that would be the conduit back into the Labour Party. So initially, I thought it'd be a purple pill party would be created. He would kind of lead it. They would probably go into a coalition government with Labour, and then at the end of the 4 years, just be basically merged into Labour. In the same way, the Irish Green Party was the same kind of psyop, and it was basically merged back into Fianna Fáil, the largest party in the country, because it was basically just created for that purpose. Now, when he did this originally back in October 2013, and I wrote that, there was a massive backlash, and I took some incredible personal abuse, and being the not so gentleman I am, I actually held back and restrained, not because I was so offended by what was being said to me, but mainly because I could not believe the absolute stupidity that I was being subjected to. The absolute mindlessness. And it's still going on. It is still going on. They're still you see, I'm not kidding you. I posted this too. I think it was the Ian R. Crane Humanity versus Insanity group. Hello, guys, if you're listening over there. And there was chaps on there who were saying, I disagree, Russell is wonderful, and then going back and you look at their homepage and they're actually typed in between all these other posts about how, the Illuminati are controlling us, how this, that and the other, how we're being manipulated, how we must seek truth. Big capital letters and exclamations on the end. Russell says we must vote Labour. And then the Russell Brand video underneath it. You just couldn't make this up. You just couldn't even begin to make it up. Now, when that first happened, we're going to be talking about what brought people to that level, even intelligent people, because we can all be made stupid. We can be made stupid by love. We can also be made stupid by disappointment. And Russell Brand was, shall we say, the end game in a series of deliberate, engineered false hopes and disappointments that made people believe he was their last option. And we're going to talk about that in a while. But anyway, when I first came out back in October 2013 and talked about Russell Brand and all this kind of stuff, that I believe that he was really only ultimately about getting people back into the Labour Party again, that I suddenly had lots of friends appear on my Facebook page, and they were the usual kind of Labour Party armchair socialist jizzbags, college professors, college political students, the usual mindless scum, mindless brain dead following scum that get involved in these kinds of mainstream political parties, and they were coming on my Facebook page and dropping all these nauseating, along with the New Agers, who I think half of them are probably back in psychiatric hospitals by now, along with the New Agers. Oh no, and the ones that aren't are currently into natural law because we're not stupid anymore. We don't follow anybody anymore. We don't follow. We don't want to. Not gullible. We're not gullible. We're into natural law, and you better be the natural law too. But anyway, I digress. So anyway, they were coming on and dropping these passive aggressive remarks like, what do you offer other than telling everyone else, calling everyone around you a psychopath, which is pretty disgusting because compared to a particular cult out there masquerading as an alternative news, a debt cult, I might add, masquerading as an alternative unbiased news source who call everybody a psychopath that disagrees with them, along with an affiliated recovery, and I say that in quotation marks, forum, who are basically a data and information sharing operation that works with them, who do the same to anyone who disagrees with them is likewise declared a psychopath. I call very, very few people a psychopath because I have what all those people don't have, and that's human decency. I actually allow a person to be a human being first, and then I will not call them a name like that unless they've demonstrated, and I've known them, powerful life destroying behavior over years and years and years against other people for their own benefit. I don't do it for that reason. So I'm not like that. So that this is the kind of scumbag things, and then you'd have some other little dirtbag lefty thumbing it up who wouldn't leave any other comment on my thing. And I just want to say something to all of you from right now. Now, this is not based on hubris. It's not based on any kind of, need to go, nah, 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 nah. It's not based on any kind of, shall we say, one-upmanship. But let me please give you, from the bottom of my heart, a hearty fuck you all right now, because you are absolute dicks and you have portrayed yourself as absolute dicks. And you're still dicks if you're following Russell Brand, which I know most of you are, because Russell says we should vote. Now, why did you become a dick? Why did you become a knobhead? Okay, let's say that might as well have been the because this is ultimately what a cult member is, and that's what you all are. The title of this program tonight could easily be "How did you become a feckin' knobhead?" Okay, let's take it from there. How did you become a feckin' knobhead? Okay, that you actually fell for Russell Brand or joined a flying saucer cult or something else. How did you become a knobhead? Well, we'll start with the ones who voted for Russell Brand. It's not your fault necessarily that you're a knobhead, okay? But you are a knobhead. And I want to rehabilitate you, if I can, away from being a knobhead. I really, really do. Now, the knobhead factor, how did it develop in the particular case of... Now, let's forget about people who are members of Labour Party and mainstream political parties and the SWP and all those nut jobs. They're all waste of space. They're useless. We can't do anything to them. Let's talk about the people who came through the so-called awakened community and then they've gone, Russell's going to save us. Russell's going to save us. He's 9/11 he likes David says you have ties. Those guys, how did David, well, apart from the obvious ones who were knobheads, but the ones that I thought actually had an element of intelligence, well, what brought them to that point of adoring and worshipping Russell Brand is the same thing that brings a cult member to the point where they can find no fault in the cult leader. And no matter what the cult leader does and says, they will always defend them. These things don't happen overnight. These things are gradual, and what basically they're about is a kind of a consecutive, shall we say, centrifugal destruction of the person's psyche in order to make them believe that they're in their last chance saloon. And everything depends on that. Now, talk about the wakened people, right? They were going, die with the whip joints, die with the whip joints. Right, that was going on for years. And the whip points, but all they did was by telling everybody that that they were all reptiles was they isolate them from themselves, from their family. And then you had the other ones who were on the what's his name? I got slagged for making fun of him this week. Alex Jones' path, and they were going, "It's the new world order's coming, yeah, the new world." I got slagged this week for someone actually. I was actually berated and called that me putting down Alex Jones in that voice, and I wasn't putting him down. I was parodying. Was sorry, I'm full of antihistamine, so forgive me, I'm a bit drowsy. I wasn't. This was satire. I do the Alex Jones voice all the time. It's fun. Like when I'm in the restaurant, I'm looking at the menu. Soup of the day. It's the New World Order. Soup of the day in the restaurant. What does the New World Order bring us in the soup of the day? Pumpkin and coriander. Too vegetarian, too vegan. Might be GMO. What about seafood chowder? No, nothing from the sea because Fukushima, New World Order. The criminals in charge, they've cabals, they're coming FEMA camps. I think I'll go for the beef consomme. Yeah, beef is Texas, never need 76, yeah. New World Order, baby. I sound like I'm in a porn flick, actually, then. I like the Alex Jones sex hotline. Meep, 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 meep. Hello, and welcome to the Alex Jones sex hotline. 25 cents for the first 15 minutes, $75 for the next 15 minutes after that and beyond. What would you like to talk about today? FEMA camps, New World Order, GMOs, or 1776 is the answer to 1984, baby. I'm actually getting turned on here. Anyway, imagine Alex Jones doing reading audiobooks, Victorian romance, smutty Victorian novels. Lord Shagworthy, representative of the New World Order on the Rumpole estate, entered into the stables and found the stable girl bereft of her corset. Anyway, yeah, so they came for me to adapt that. Or, New World Order, Illuminati. They came from those sides, right? And also there would have been smatterings of New Age types came along as well. And then the whole thing was building up to 2012. Woo, woo, woo. 2012. They had to build their expectations up to that. Hello, I'm Terence McKenna, and even though people could say that I'm a genius and I talk about mushrooms, people also forget that I was talking about 2012 bullshit as well. Yes, people forget that. I was part of that whole 2012 bullshit. They conveniently forget that I was working on a computer program that was going to make 2012 happen, even though it didn't happen. You're still talking about me as I'm a fucking genius. Anyway, so they came through these paths, right? Now, before 2012, the big 2012 letdown, they had the Occupy thing. Now, the Occupy thing was about the most perfect example of a white bread revolution you could possibly concoct, right? But it was so perfectly engineered. To see all these privileged white kids all over the world walking down the streets in their latest fashions, their latest handheld devices, their their Starbucks coffee and going, "We gotta have change. We gotta have change. We have gotta change." Now, where that came from initially was that they all were voting for Obama, and Obama went, "Change, I'm gonna bring change, yeah, change, motherfucker, yeah, change, yeah." I don't mean, of course, Mr. President, yeah, but I like Errol. I like Errol Brown of Hot Chocolate, who died today, better than you. And he goes, "Now, change is a word that means nothing, okay? Like hope is a word that means nothing. Change could be something worse." So they all wanted change, change, like zombies, you know that, like George Romero's Night of the Living Dead, change, change, like brains, change, right? And so they got change. Things got fucking worse, okay? And so this might be my last show tonight. I'll probably be banned off the airs tonight, but let's go out with a bang. So things got worse. He wasn't this sainted being on gossamer wings who fluttered down from heaven to make everything the Bushes did right again. No, he just took what they did and made it worse. Stage, stage, and so that was that. So nothing happened. So they're all walking up and down the Wall Street. It starts off in London, and they have the human microphones. The human microphones are my favorite. You know, we're here. We are here to protest. To protest American sanctions against Nicaragua. American sanctions against Nicaragua. As an expression of our individuality. As an expression of our individuality. Remember that? Look those things up, human microphones at Occupy. It summed up Occupy perfectly. These mindless drones who didn't even know what they were marching for. Hey, but that was the point. That was the point of Occupy. That was the point of it. So it was also a fantastic data gathering operation for the globalists, because they knew this awakening was, whatever you want to call this political consciousness awakening, was happening. They needed to get names, babies. You know, remember, like, what's her name? Eddie in Absolutely Fabulous. Names, darling, names, darlings. That's how they were at the Pentagon and at Thames House for MI5. They needed to get names, darling, names. So they invented Occupy. And when you went down to any of the Occupy meetings, there was all these people walking around with petitions to sign, where you signed your name, address, your phone number, and your email. Names, darling, names, darling. Here you go, Mr. Pentagon. Here you go, Mr. Thames House. And so that was a big part of it, was gathering the names of how, gauging, data mining, finding out just how, is there a potential for a real wake up here, as well as taking them and manipulating it. I love the Wall Street Occupy one, where they're walking around with these big signs that were clearly made by they were so professionally done. They were clearly made by a Madison Avenue ad agency that were saying things like "climate change now," and if the climate was a bank, it'd be saved by now. And it was all globalist statements, all put on these big signs and handed to Occupy protesters, and then so they get their photographs in the New York Times and all this kind of thing. Change, change. Anyway, and so on top of that, it was also a big medical testing ground as well. We're going to have an extra long show tonight, so don't worry. I'm not going to run the whole show. An extra, a medical, sort of like a biological weapons. See, people think that bioweapons are things like chemical warfare, being injected. Well, here, let me tell you what the bioweapons were at Occupy. Vegan kitchens, vegan slop. Vegan slop without an ounce of B12 vitamins in it. So you start becoming psychotic. This is why when people go into Irish psychiatric hospitals now suffering from schizophrenia or psychosis, one of the first questions they ask them, are you a vegan or a vegetarian? If they say yes, they give them a shot of B12. The psychosis and schizophrenia, it instantly stops, and they're discharged that night. So they're all in their vegan slop, right? So they're change, Occupy, and so they're all drool coming out of their mouths, and so they're all easily controlled and manipulated. And plus, on top of that, they're having psychotic episodes and all this kind of thing. I'm oppressed. I'm oppressed. The battery on my iPod doesn't work so good. I'm a victim of the globalists. My new chinos, it said that they're made in China. And all this crap, right? So the Occupy the Occupy bullshit went through. Was the first part. Was the first part, and so that caused that nothing happened. They all walking down the street. Michael Moore, he's a real man of the revolution. He's here today. Susan Sarandon, Hollywood people to save us. Give me some more of that vegan slop. And so and lattes in Starbucks have absolutely no milk in them. Or it's not even milk anymore. So no protein of any kind of it. So it's like your latte and your double latte, which are your shitty marshmallows and all of the crap inside it, and your corn syrup sweetener, and then your vegan slop food, change, this kind of thing, right? And so that was the first crash. Nothing happened. So they're all like, "Hey, what happened to Occupy? What? We were going to change the world. All the newspapers said we were going to. What happened? Well, there's only one thing to do to a person in a cult. When you build up their expectations to the first level, then you take it away from them. You'll have two phenomena will happen. Some people will say, "Feck this, it's all bollocks. I'm going to go back to getting prostitutes and coke. Feck this, it's a load of bollocks. I'm going to go back to watching the football on TV." Or what they really want to do is get the ones who won't do that and want to fix it the next thing. They want to fix it the next thing. So what was the next thing? 2012. 2012, we're all going to have an ascension. Or, the Mayan calendar, a bleeding rock with a few drawings on it. And the Mayan calendar says, you remember the videos? As if they, it's got sacred geometry. I'm not seeing Harriman, and I got sacred geometry and something to do with Tesla, and you think I'm a genius because of it. You haven't got a clue what I'm fucking talking about. Well, the same thing, too, with the 2012 thing. A bleeding rock, a circle of fucking rock from from Mexico with a few scribbles, few carved, very nice, actually attractive, and they're all thinking it's a clock to tell you that's the end of the fucking world. So they're all putting their lives on hold, waiting for 2012. Oh, the age is coming. Oh, the age of ascension. And you had motherfuckers, in case you didn't hear this properly, motherfuckers like David Wilcock, telling people about this right up until the last moment, that there was going to be a big ascension was coming, and they were all going to be elevated to a new dimension. While this motherfucker was this dead-eyed, he looks like Tom Verlaine from television. Do you ever notice that? This dead-eyed, like John Boy Walton, vegan, whatever the fuck he is, going, we're all going to ascend to it, when he's not charging people to channel, what's his name? Some fucking god in India. Anyway, so he's there, right? And he's telling people that we're all going to go to a new dimension, a new world at 2012, December 21st. While the motherfucker was booking events and promoting events that were for 2013, and yet these muppets still go, David, he's so wise. He talks about spirituality. He's so wise, And it didn't happen. And they all went. That was the second psychic crash. So you had one. That was the first psychic crash. Was occupied. The second. So then you had a small amount of people in December 2012 going, "This is a lot of bollocks. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to fall for this shit anymore." And then you had other ones. What the cult wants. The ones who are disappointed will want an even harder fix the next time. Enter Anonymous. Okay? Now, the Anonymous one was the seed that gave birth to Russell Brand. Think of the Anonymous mask, right, as a sperm. And think of, they're all knobheads, right? So think of all the knobheads all wearing the Anonymous masks, right? All these knobheads wearing the Anonymous mask. I'm an individual. I am anonymous. Expect me. Well, everything except the vagina can expect me. But anyway, so it's like these are sperms, right? That's what you see. Symbol of the Anonymous mask is a sperm, right? And so all the cult members in Anonymous with their little sperm heads, little knob heads, right? Yeah, cum heads, and they're all like. They're all thinking that they're all putting up their little picture of the mask on their Facebook profile page. Yeah, that'll teach the government. I got an anonymous mask. I'll teach the fucking government. Brr. right? And that's why you have, I was talking to someone tonight, Niall Murphy and Tom Secker, about anarchists at the turn of the century. These guys were blowing up and murdering aristocrats and bankers. What does the activist of the year in 2015 get awarded for? She sprinkled glitter. Oh, she's so radical and dangerous. She sprinkled glitter on the European Central Bank spooks. That's how lame it's become. So, but it's been getting lame for a long time. So we had the lameness of the anonymous knobheads now. Didn't know what they were on about. Basically, they were a fantastic asset for the intelligence services because all their hacking and destruction of personal privacy was exactly the kind of culture that the intelligence services wanted. So intelligence services wanted Anonymous to promote this idea no one has personal privacy online anymore. Everyone can be hacked. Expect us. Expect us. See that? Expect us. So what you really was expecting was the DARPA or the CIA or MI5 on your hard drive. That's what Anonymous was really telling you to expect. So all these sperms they're all these sperms, right? They're all out their anonymous masks going, oh, we are Legion, we are Anonymous, and forgetting the fact that Guy Fawkes represented a bleeding Jesuit who wasn't blowing up the Houses of Parliament in order to save British democracy. He wanted to reinstall direct rule from Rome. So anyway, forget that. They're all morons. You don't think so? I got my anonymous mask. My sperm head. So all these millions of sperms, all these millions of Muppets, the sperm head masks, all walking around. One of them had to be born, and one of them was indeed born when Russell Brand in Trafalgar Square took the sperm off his head, removed the mask off his head, and was born the Christ child of the revolution. And there are photographs of him removing his mask symbolically in Trafalgar Square, and he's surrounded by all these anonymous knobheads who are literally shooting their load in their trousers by being around him. It was like Jesus coming back to Jerusalem and they scattered the palm leaves at his feet. That's what that was like. And so all the anonymous knobheads exploded. Russell Brand had gathered them up. This is after he'd been previously working on reptiles, and there's only one reptile died. And so he courted David Icke, clearly repulsed by him. You could see that enough. There's a photograph of Icke with his arm around Russell Brand, and Russell Brand is like, get this maggot off me look on his face. And then David Icke was invited onto Russell Brand's TV show, mainstream. David Icke never saw a mainstream TV show he didn't love, and because that's what he is. And he went on there, and he was treated really badly by both him and which he was a fool for doing it, because it was very rude. David Icke is a fool for going on mainstream TV.